Hey everybody, Brian Zane here. I'm joined by J Biggs, and we're doing our Royal Rumble predictions video remote style. And Jay, I have to say, every year the Royal Rumble pay-per-view is just rife with speculation and guesswork and excitement. This year feels like more so than ever because of all this Forbidden Door chatter. Jay, how are you feeling going into the Rumble? Are you excited?
Yeah, I am. I mean, doing the Raw and SmackDown reviews, it's been a pretty decent build. I had my first 5-star Raw not too long back. I had a 4-star Raw this week. So, I'm feeling pretty good about the Rumble. Plus, we have some very exciting matches. This could be, I think one of the guys in the comments section on one of the shows here was like, this Royal Rumble is kind of underrated. Could be a sleeper pay-per-view of the year. And I absolutely believe that with some of these matches. I mean, are you feeling the same way?
I am feeling that, I go into every pay-per-view with very low expectations, so I'm always pleasantly surprised by the end. I think that's why some of my grades historically end up being higher than a lot of other reviewers. Because oh, why is this? I'm like, whatever. Like, no one shat themselves in the ring, so it's like, hey,
hey, we've seen that before.
Stamp of approval on that bad boy. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about with this show, and we're gonna get into it right now with this mixed tag team match as the Miz and Maryse are gonna battle Edge and the returning, I guess the Super Glamazon. Did she drink the ooze? Does that explain the hair?
I don't know, dude. But maybe not the hair, but the muscles. I love the meme that I saw on social media this morning with her side by side with Adam Cole, and it's like, what?
I mean, side by side, forget Adam Cole, put her side by side to how she looked last year. She looks so drastically different with she's been tanning. She's got the hair different now. Looks totally different than the way she did when she was doing commentary at NXT, for example. So it's like, hey, the glow up is real. Congratulations to her for getting back in shape for this match. I'm really excited for it. It seems it's very similar to what we saw. It's going to be kind of like a match version of what we've been seeing for the last several weeks, where it's going to be like, oh, Miz and Maryse are going to get their cheap shit in, and they're going to Edge and Beth are going to have to withstand that.
Yeah.
What do you feel about this match going in? Do you think who do you think's going to win? Who's your pick?
Oh, it's definitely got to be Beth and Edge. If it's not, then they're going to continue the feud, and that is what I am praying does not happen. I mean,
do you not like this feud so far?
It's not that the feud necessarily sucks. It's just it's one of those things that's please just don't drag it out. There's no need for it, because in the beginning, when you first think to yourself, I mean, do you remember what people were saying when first the Miz came out and attacked them and stuff, and it was like, wait a minute,
well, it's probably not
Edge and Miz, but
I think people were kind of disappointed at the beginning of that, because think of who Edge has feuded with since he's come back, like Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and fighting Roman and fighting Daniel Bryan, and then Miz is kind of seen, I guess, as a downgrade in that sense. I wouldn't say it as such, because the Miz I think he's a lot better than people think he is and people say he is.
Well, do the fans not remember? I mean, this saying goes with everything literally in life. And I'm saying, and when you get to the top, there's nowhere to go but down. And if you come in at the top, you know what I mean? You're facing Orton and all that. I mean, what the hell do you expect? Eventually he should be. I mean, technically, just in my opinion, the way how wrestlers' careers should go, if you're really over towards the end, yeah, you got a legacy, and I know you got to protect some things, but you really should be putting over new talent. So just in my opinion, eventually should be Edge, taking an L to Otis or something. You know what I mean? One day. So it's going to always go down.
One day our fantasy booking will culminate.
He'll bring back the worm.
That is some universe mode shit right there. Edge and Otis and a high profile match. My pick I agree with you, Jay. I think Edge and Beth are going to win this one as well. I don't see this going till WrestleMania or even, Elimination Chamber or whatever.
Hopefully not.
It's I think my memory of the Edge and Miz match at day one was a lot more rose colored than other people, because I've seen other people talk about it and were we watching the same match? I enjoyed it, but I guess I was wrong. I don't know. I think the only thing I thought I didn't like about it was Beth's arrival on the
I was going to say that was the only thing I remember of it, though, honestly. Everything else was kind of forgettable. It was just a decent match. I wouldn't expect those two to have a bad match ever, and their chemistry was good. But as far as anything about that match to remember, it was that awkward Beth Phoenix arrival.
Right. And so, I think, this seems kind of an open and shut case. Edge and Beth will win. I mean, it's going to be, it'll be cool to see Beth kind of in a full match again. Last time we saw her in the ring was in the Women's Rumble, and you only saw a small sample of what she could do. So I think it's going to be a good test for both the ladies who are not, they're not regularly in the ring anymore. I think it'll be an entertaining matchup. I love the shtick with Miz and Maryse. They have a great act, and I think they're going to pair well, like a fine wine and cheese, with Edge and Beth in this matchup. Moving on to our next match for the Raw Women's Championship, as Big Time Becky Lynch defends against, well, she'll always be Viper to me, but here she's Doudrop.
No, Brian. It's Doudrop. Did you see the end of that back and forth they had on Raw? I loved it. I mean, cool.
Name aside, I love how they're kind of building Doudrop lately. I think that she's been kind of like, she got out of that weird angle with Eva Marie and this the never-ending feud with Bianca, and I think she's been able to kind of finally breaking out on her own, and I think that's fantastic. I've always been a fan of her work since I first heard of her, and I think she's finally in a place of like prominence here. As far as the outcome of the match goes, I mean, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I think that it's going to be a good match. I love the contrast in styles because Viper is very versatile, but she does have like, you know, she's got the bruiser thing against Becky, who's more of like a brawler, more technical. They're both very multifaceted, but I think it's going to translate into a very fun match. And like you said, you know, kind of a sleeper hit this show could be. I think this could be one of the hidden gems.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I'm looking forward to the back and forth. You know, I really, this is going to be a good coming out, I think, for Doudrop as far as a match, because somehow, some way, like you said earlier, she survived the Eva Marie stench.
Yeah.
And this is another opportunity for her, you know, and like I said, that promo on Raw, that's why one of the reasons I gave it 4 stars this week is because, I mean, it was just so strong. That promo actually made me want to see them work each other more. And that's what promos are supposed to do, you know? There's a lot of segments where I'm left going, I don't know if I want to see anything more because of that or not now.
Like, there's your go home segment. It's kind of like how in playoff games, sometimes the playoff games or a conference championship game is like bigger than like the Super Bowl or more exciting. Sometimes like the build can be more interesting than the actual like payoff. I hope that's not the case with this one, but I get what you're saying. I think it peaked at the right time with that split screen interview. So Jay, who's your pick for the women's championship match?
You know, as much as I'd like to see Doudrop win, I just love how she said that. Win the championship, I think it's still got to be Becky, because I just think that a run like that, you just don't end it till something bigger, in my opinion. And I still think Doudrop is a young competitor that has many years to get ahead. It's like I said about what's his name, Theory, losing this week to AJ Styles. Didn't matter. Yeah. He's got many years to get over.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Jay. I'm going to say that Becky Lynch will retain this matchup here, retain the title, I should say. It should be a good match. Like, I think we're both in agreement that we have good expectations for this one. But I feel as far as like telling a story, it's in a bit of a holding pattern for something bigger to come along, like you said, for WrestleMania. You know, who wins the Women's Rumble match might determine that part of the story. But for now, it seems that we are in agreement that Becky is going to retain the championship. For the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns will defend against Seth freaking Rollins. I didn't want to put it in here because then the text would be too small. But this is it. Roman versus Seth, the 2/3 of the Shield feud reignited. And it's interbrand, technically, which so much for the brand split, so much for the draft. And we can just have Seth Rollins show up willy-nilly on SmackDown and do his cackle, which we all know is great, but it's like, come on, we're talking about continuity here.
Right. No, absolutely. But it is, gosh, it's so annoyingly like good, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. But the build's been fine. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, because there's the history there, and both these guys are great, and they're kind of hitting their stride. But it's like, again, the whole Raw and SmackDown thing, whatever. But what do you think? How do you think like the feud has been so far?
Well, great. I mean, everything from the beginning with the knocks, like dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah, the Shield knock,
yeah, just stuff like that. I mean, everything from the beginning has just been little things, and even the fact they dropped Mox. I saw somebody online was saying, "Oh my God, what if the Forbidden Door is Moxley?"
Well, we've been saying in a way, he is part of the Forbidden Door, but that ain't happening.
That ain't happening now. I don't know if anybody wants to nationally put him on any sort of a syndicated broadcast that's live right now.
Right. Live mics. Watch out.
Right. But that being said, hey, that would have been a cool match to see with like a special guest referee or something maybe. But that being said, that's not happening. I think this is going to be a great match. There's just no doubt about it. These two, I mean, how are they not going to have a good match?
Right. I mean, you and I were there in Vegas for, what was it, Money in the Bank 2016 or 17? I think it was 16. And they had a great match then, too. I think it was overshadowed by Dean Ambrose, Moxley cashing in right afterward. But the match they had, Roman and Seth leading up to that, was great. And that was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I think they're going to be, and like where they are now in the hierarchy and in their careers, I think it has the potential to be even better. Like Roman Reigns' matches, they've all been kind of formulaic since he's come back with his heel turn. But this one feels different. Like it feels like it could be different because they're technically both heels. I feel that Rollins, he is being booked kind of like a babyface in this.
They could undermine each other.
Right. I would love to see a bit of a sequence here where, you know, like they each try and be sneaky and each try and cheat, but they both get caught and like, oh, come on, man, what's going on? You know? I'm going to
say that for a second year in a row, Roman is jumping in the golf cart.
Oh, yeah.
He is rolling.
That was such an underrated moment of 2021 was Kevin Owens out of nowhere getting hit with a. You know what? Hey, you know what? We got Johnny Knoxville on the show this year, so I definitely see a possible return to someone getting hit with a golf cart. Whether it's Seth or not,
backstage, he gets taken out by Roman during his match, and he can't even get in the Royal Rumble.
That'd be the story. That'd be the story. Roman Reigns commandeers the golf cart and like waylays Johnny Knoxville, who takes like a Sammy Guevara bump.
Oh yes, yes, that's right. Yeah, you know what's funny? What's some great moments last year involving golf carts in pro wrestling? Thanks to
last couple of years, the pandemic has definitely brought about like the rise of the golf cart, the return of the golf cart. We love to see it. So
have to have a Kerwin White type character come back, maybe.
Yes, I can think of that Sinatra ripoff song like dancing in my head right now.
You can sing it so good, I bet.
Right. So, Jay, who do you got winning this gall darn match between Roman and Seth?
Absolutely, it's going to be Roman. I don't think it. I mean, I like Seth, obviously, but I just don't think he's the guy to carry it, you know, into Saudi and to WrestleMania. You know, it's just too big and too long of a reign. Yeah, but I mean, I will say this: if there's one guy other than Roman that they have built properly in his career, is crazy as they've made him at times and goofy and a shitty champion when he was with the corporation or whatever. But I mean, gosh, he's beaten Brock Lesnar now clean, like what, twice on pay-per-view?
Twice, yeah.
I mean, has Roman done that other than like, I mean,
once, I think. SummerSlam. That was the SummerSlam the year he got to give the belt up.
We'll see what I'm saying is like, they've almost built Seth as big. So I mean, it's
like if there's somebody who could take Roman out, it would be the guy who's beaten Lesnar twice. Yeah,
right. So I think that's the good tell of the story. I think he was a great person to bring over when they found out that Drew McIntyre, who I think was the original scheduled opponent, or I believe, or something. You know, I'm not sure, but I know he was involved in the title plan somewhere on SmackDown, and with him going out, that changed everything up, and that's why they had to switch over Seth.
There was a moment in that 2K22 commercial where Roman steals Angela and drives by in the golf cart. You might have seen that one. And Drew chases. Maybe that would have been the setup for that feud. I agree with you though, Jay. I think that Roman is going to retain here, like for these same reasons you said. It's like, you know, the reign has been historic and long and everything, and so hopefully, you know, build to something for WrestleMania for that marquee matchup. So yeah, I don't see Roman losing the big blue belt just yet either. Coming up next, the WWE Championship match as Brock Lesnar defends against Bobby Lashley. Now, Jay, one thing I want to get out of the way before we start talking about this match is that when it was first like signed or we knew it was going to happen, everyone was like, oh man, we're going to get so many great battling promos between MVP and Paul Heyman. You know how many we got in the end? One! And they saved it for the show. And if you want to call it one,
it still had some interference. Let's just put it like that from the wrestlers. Yeah, it's a little bit odd. But I don't know. I mean, it's almost like, are they saving it for something or what? I don't know.
Maybe they just thought this is too fiery. This is too hot. We got to like keep this tamped down.
Let's do a weigh-in for a match that has no weight limits.
Right.
And then let's tell Brock Lesnar to get naked so that he weighs correctly.
For matches that like have never required weigh-ins before. Right. And we'll have a big contract signing ceremony for this match, but not for these other matches that you see. I'm really excited for this matchup, honestly.
Oh, dude, yeah.
It's the match fans have been waiting for a long time. Like Bobby Lashley has staked the whole latter half of his career on a match with Brock Lesnar, and we're finally going to get it. So it's, the big beefy Hoss fight, two guys who are built like friggin' water heaters, just like battling it out, like I love a good fight like that. And the way they book these two guys in particular, especially Lesnar, it's going to be one of those like popcorn matches where it's like big spot. Wow. Look at these crazy bumps. And then it's just going to be finally like, I don't know if it's going to be a one F5 to put Lashley away or one spear to put Lesnar away or something. But
I know you heard my review on Raw this week, and that's kind of what I was kind of worried about, was that it was just going to be a one and done kind of thing, like a Goldberg match. And please, give these guys a little time. And that's the whole point. That's why the fans want to see it, is the legitimacy of this, because Bobby Lashley, like I said, former fighter for Bellator. So people know him for that. Former real professional wrestler, obviously, too. And a professional badass,
obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the story writes itself. And I hope this is not the one and only match they're going to have. I hope they can have a few more in the tank. And the reason I want there to be a rematch, and I will tell you my pick for this match right now, which will necessitate a rematch, is that I believe that Paul Heyman is going to betray Brock Lesnar and cost him the championship, which would allow Lashley to win that belt, and then for Heyman to realign with Lesnar. I think that's what we were meant to get, or with Reigns, I should say. I feel that like day one was supposed to kick that into high gear, because then what you saw on the Raw afterward, Heyman just like, oh, I'm with Lesnar now, hooray! And like that felt really shitty. And so I think they're going to try and get things back on track with Heyman costing Lesnar to stick it to him for the match with Roman. So that's why Lashley's my pick to win. What about you?
Well, I think that turn is eventually happening. I just don't see them using it. Just my opinion. I don't see them using it for this match. And the reason for that is I think the turn needs to happen during the Roman Brock next match. That's just my opinion. Because I mean, if he's going to align with the bloodline again, what are they going to do? Are they going to he's going to betray Brock Lesnar now and then prove himself to Roman, just come out the next night and say, hey, I'm back with Roman, or later on, I'm back with Roman, or whatever they do? I don't know. That seems a little different than if they somehow latch on to him and Brock right now and keep him like that scared little, biatch that he's acting like. Yeah. And then eventually during that match, that's when the turn happens. Because, dude, I'm going to tell you right now, WrestleMania 31, if you go on my Facebook page and you look like 3 or 4, maybe a month or two before then, I said if I was fantasy booking this WrestleMania, the way Paul Heyman put over the Samoan family and the dynasty and how well he knows them in that Raw where they had the power out, they had to go back and forth after the Royal Rumble. And I said to myself, man, that's the Samoan dynasty is going to align. It's going to be the Usos, it's going to be Roman, maybe it'll be The Rock or something coming back.
Your prediction was about 4 or 5 years off, but it
finally has happened. And I'm telling you. So I don't know. I think that turn needs to happen as much as I can see what they're trying to do here. I think more so it's going to be, if anything, a mix-up of Paul Heyman and Bobby Lashley together doing something, and then Heyman puts it off on MVP, MVP and Heyman, and Heyman puts off on MVP, and Lashley fires him and turns to babyface, more so than that's the turn right there for Heyman. I think that's going to come during that next match. So, but with that being said, Brock Lesnar is my pick for the win.
Okay, so you pick Lesnar. I think this is the first time all review we finally picked something different. But there we go. I mean, I think either of those scenarios could happen. I think that the Rumble's a time to have some kind of crazy swerve that'll build to WrestleMania, but we'll have to wait and see. We're going to move on to the Rumble matches now. First, the Men's Royal Rumble match, and as of this recording, there are 22 people confirmed and announced for the matchup, and I'm just going to rattle them off right now. From Raw, you have Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford, both Mysterios, Austin Theory, Damian Priest, AJ Styles, Big E, Kevin Owens, Omos, Randy Orton, Riddle, Chad Gable, Otis, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode. For SmackDown, you have Sheamus, Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss, Sami Zayn, and Kofi Kingston. And then there's Johnny Knoxville. So SmackDown's got a lot of catching up to do with getting some entrants in this matchup.
This is why we have a Raw guy over there challenging for the Blue Universal Championship, dude.
Right. It's who knows anymore? The brands mean nothing. So Jay, every year there's always speculation about somebody from a different company or some big internet darling kind of joining the Rumble match as a surprise entrant. It feels more tangible this year because not only do you have like Mickie James from Impact being part of the Women's Rumble, which we'll talk about, but also there was the news like Cody Rhodes is a free agent. What does that mean? Oh, Jon Moxley is the one who kind of bops between promotions. What's that mean? Forbidden Door Mania running wild. Like who knows like what's going to happen? I'm going to ask you point blank. Do you think a wrestler from AEW specifically is going to be in the Men's Rumble match?
No. I don't believe so this year, or probably any other year going forward. I just don't. I mean, are we seeing a WWE guy on AEW?
Yeah,
I mean, we're seeing lots of guys who were WWE guys,
right?
But after that, dude, after some of the things they're saying, like the Cody promos and just the things that some of the superstar, I couldn't. Why would WWE want to do that?
Right. I mean, like, if real pie in the sky thing would be someone like Chris Jericho.
That's what I said. You know, Jericho's like safe.
Somebody who's got brand recognition in WWE,
right.
Like him or Cody would be literally it, I would think. But I mean, both of those seem highly unlikely to me. I mean, Jericho more likely because we saw him on the Austin podcast last year, but who really knows? Like, I don't think I'm open to the idea that somebody from a different company, like maybe not AEW, could be in that match. But like, who from Impact? Like maybe Moose. I'm just trying to think of who else like would be from Impact who would have like
Moose has challenged Roman Reigns. I could see Moose.
Yeah. Or maybe like, I don't know, could we see somebody
I'm thinking from NWA even.
There's also been speculation that like maybe some people who've already been released in the last year could come back for a one-off in this Rumble match. Do you see that happening?
Maybe.
Yeah. We're seeing what Mickie James.
Oh gosh, you know, I'll tell you. Here's a couple names that I've heard that may or may not appear, but they're from a different brand we're not even talking about. NXT, Braun Breaker. Also Gunther.
Yeah. Gunther and then Braun Breaker. Yeah, those are some NXT names are definitely.
I would love to see those two, honestly, in the Rumble. I think it would be great to like see them mix it up and it's almost like I was talking about on Raw about how you got Shanky and Omos side by side. You finally got to pair them up. I'd love to see Braun Breaker side by side with some of these guys. I could also see like Grayson Waller make an appearance as well.
Or Carmelo Hayes is somebody I think would also be fun in that match. North American champion right now. What about Veer? Will Veer finally come at the Royal Rumble?
You know what? Hey, there you go. He had the most impactful Royal Rumble debut since Taz.
I mean, it'd be amazing. Honestly, I saw because every year there's always those like, here's the leaked rundown of like the order of elimination for the Rumble. And my favorite one of these, and they're all always fake, but my favorite one so far was like Veer at number 1, and he throws out every single person and wins. Like that would be amazing. What an incredible debut for Veer.
He'd be the most over Indian superstar in WWE history, more so than Jinder Mahal.
He'd be the most over star in history if he went 1 and
right.
Whoosh. Just like the Rumble on easy mode is Brock Lesnar. That's how I do it.
I would like to have seen, I know this is going to be a very far out there thing, but I just have my eyes set right now on a feud that's going to happen in the future. I would love to have seen Sheamus win and challenge Brock Lesnar. I think that would be such a good feud. But that's something I think down the line is going to happen. And I foresee right now them pushing Omos.
That feels like a long shot one to me. But I mean, honestly,
can I tell you why though?
Well, tell the people why.
Okay, here's why. Is just because the way they're building him up right now, and if they really are going to turn Bobby Lashley face and give him the championship in any way, shape, or form, they're going to have a credible challenger. I don't see anybody else over on Raw right now that I want to see challenge for that belt with Bobby Lashley. I mean, maybe Seth Rollins or something, but I'm not interested in Big E or Kevin Owens or any of those challengers with him. So I would say that Hurt Lock, if there was somebody that was going to break it and it was impossible to put him in it, Omos. So that's why I went with that.
Okay. I'm going to pick someone. It's like, honestly, there's nobody here on the list of announced names this year where I'm like, oh, slam dunk, easy pick. That's how it's been the last couple of years, which I guess makes it nice. That's not like super predictable. If I had to pick somebody, kind of a shot in the dark, hey, at 1 in 30 odds, I'm right. I'm going to say Kevin Owens is my pick to win.
What?
I know you just said it, but I'm going to go against that. I think that Kevin Owens seems like a bit more of a feasible reality than Omos at this point. But I think
what a re-sign.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
like there's that extra stipulation on the contract.
If they're going to resign him, then yeah, I mean, there had to be some perks, is what I'm thinking. I don't think that has to do with it necessarily, but like as just how they built him as of late, I would not be surprised if he was kind of the next man up.
Would he be the first ever Canadian to win the Royal Rumble? I'm thinking back.
No, Bret Hart.
Did Hart win it
with Lex Luger. Edge won it last year.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
And several years before that, and yeah, we've had the Canadians win before. Chris Benoit. How easy it is for us to forget that Chris Benoit, beloved Canadian.
We're not going to get this block now and demonetized, are we, for saying that name?
And finally, Jay, let's talk about the women's Royal Rumble match. There are 21 names already announced as this recording. For Raw, we have Rhea Ripley, Nikki ASH, Dana Brooke, Carmella, Queen Zelina, and Tamina, and Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan. For SmackDown, we've got Shotzi, Natalya, Aaliyah, Naomi, Shayna Baszler, and Charlotte Flair, who is the current SmackDown Women's Champion. You've got some Hall of Famers in the Bella Twins, both of them, and Lita, who has been training with Stoner U Dojo in Oakland. So she's been training.
Lita?
Yeah, there are pictures of the Cuzzies, the Commandos, posting a picture of Lita training with them and Anton Voorhees and all those folks. So it's really cool. And like, of course, Stoner U is the place that produced Shotzi and Mansoor, among others. So they have a good pedigree. So I think it's cool.
They do.
Lita's training with them. And then you've got the unaffiliated non-Hall of Famers right now, Michelle McCool, Kelly, Summer Rae, who was billed last week as a legend, which I think it's WWE's right to do that. There's a lot of debate about that this past week, but whatever. They want to call her a legend. She's a fucking legend. I don't care. And finally, this is the one that made the most waves, was the current Impact Knockouts champion, Mickie James, is going to be in the match, which makes her, I think, I don't know if anyone was champion in AAA in 96 or 97 when they had the Rumble in San Antonio. But you have to have someone from another promotion who is also a champion, like on that show in the match, I think is a big deal, regardless of what she.
Yeah, they had like Mil Mascaras and Hector Garza and a bunch of those guys. I remember that in '96 there. But I will say this: I did hear an interview with her this week where she said that she plans on bringing the Impact Championship with her because she takes it everywhere she goes. So that's her statement.
Whether or not they will show it, I'd be amazed if they showed the belt. I mean, I think if they could just mention it, that'd be big enough. And they mentioned it when they announced her, so maybe if they could do it again, it'd be interesting. I mean, we've talked about the story of Mickie James coming back. We said that on our podcast, so I don't want to go too much into detail here about it. But it is significant that she is there. Are there any other women you might think of, like, who aren't signed, that might pop up, or are there anyone from NXT who you've heard about who you think might crop up here?
Well, as long as that one girl doesn't rap in the middle of it.
BFAB was released, although again we could.
No. I'm talking about the girl that debuted on NXT this week.
Oh, Ollie J.
Yeah, she did a whole concert.
Yes, Ollie J and her great big personality were on display at NXT this week, and got the whole internet talking.
Honestly, I think we could see some other people, like maybe Beth Phoenix comes back out. I mean, why not, right? Yeah. Did she really do all that for Maryse? Like, did she think she had to go to the gym and bulk up and tan that much for Maryse?
I mean, that'd be a fun story if we had Maryse kind of enter partway through, and then like Beth comes one or two entries after, like chases her out or something, like to keep that angle going. That's something I hadn't thought about, but that's not a bad idea.
I'd like to see Kelly. I also think another person.
She's confirmed. Yes.
Okay. Another person I think would be great if they really do have this open Forbidden Door is Deonna Purrazzo.
She just won the ROH Women's title from Roxy, and she's she's Impact too. So why wouldn't that be there? And ROH, you know what I mean? They're getting out there with things. So I think that would be a cool little rub, right? If they really want to show this Forbidden Door, I get it. If it's not AEW, I totally get that because there's so much shit talking going on over there and stuff, right? I think Raquel Gonzalez would be a great entry. I think Dakota Kai would do well in that spot. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to do something with Wendy Chu, who's kind of NXT's answer to Orange Cassidy at the moment. Someone who's like a comedy wrestler who's like quasi-narcoleptic. Hey, how about you?
Funny.
Try and get a sleeping person over the top rope. They're dead weight. You can't do it, So that'll be her strategy.
She's gonna be like the Jack Gallagher spot, like almost the comedy spot in the women's Royal Rumble.
Silly, right? That. I think I could see them doing something like that just to get that out there. Some other ladies we've not talked about is Alexa Bliss, who they've been building up with her therapy sessions on Raw, and it seems like this would be a good opportunity for her to come back to in the Rumble match. What do you say to that idea?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Yeah, absolutely. This would be another thing. I mean, like, why not bring her back as the normal character? That I think that was what the lead-in was, but I figured this week they were going to do a little bit more with her if they were going to actually bring her back as the regular Alexa Bliss.
They'd have to do a quick turnaround.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. But there were some subtle things. If you looked at the character this week, some things had changed, like her clothes and some, just some. So they were trying to settle her down. I think that's what's going to happen. As I mentioned, the whole story was that whole doll thing sold at Christmas and they had to bring it back and to show it off because it was a high seller. Yeah. But I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, so anyways, that being said, you could also see maybe Doudrop if she loses or something, or Becky Lynch even. Ronda Rousey. Let's talk about that one. That one's the big name right now.
The rumor of Rousey. It's like, that's kind of hanging like a specter right now. I would be open to it. I think Ronda, when she was, I think Ronda's most exciting period in WWE were her last like 2 months when she turned heel. And she was like fighting back on the fans who thought she'd gotten stale. So I would love to see maybe a return to that. It's like, I don't know if we can handle like 2 returning like recent mothers coming back and being heel. I just feel that might be a little much, like we saw with Becky last year and Ronda this year. I mean, hey, it could Mick World, it could happen, but I don't know. I don't know. I think
if Ronda returns, she's a face, because it's almost like when Becky returned, she was a goddamn for sure face. But what did they do with her? They turned her heel. So I just, in my opinion, it's like Ronda was a heel going out. She's going to be a face for coming back. And they're probably going to do the opposite with her. That's just what they do.
All right. So who do you got to win this one, Jay?
I'm just going to be honest with you, man. Until I see who those other 8 people are in the Rumble, or 9, I don't know, man. I mean, like, if Rousey comes back, why wouldn't it be her? They would, and if it's not her when she comes back, whoever throws her over the top, it's like that Undertaker elimination. That's who she's going to face at Mania,
right?
So
you're going to reserve judgment for now, but you think it would be like a surprise entrant, whoever's not announced could win?
Yeah, possibly. The only other name I'll throw on the current roster that I think could actually win, maybe a 2-peat for Bianca. And the reason I say that is because she kept looking very strong on Monday with Zelina, just throwing her around, and she's still got a lot of unfinished business. Maybe the only other name I can think of is Naomi.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking Liv Morgan as well was the name I was thinking of.
That's gone, man. That's gone.
Sailed. Okay, well, I'm going to go. I'm going to lock my pick in here and say this will be a big return for Alexa Bliss. That's my pick here. I think she'll come back in the Rumble. And, of course, I'm usually wrong about this shit, so whatever. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But this is my big speculative pick here. Alexa's going to win the thing. I'm coming in.
One other name we haven't even talked about, Bayley. So
you're right. We have not even talked about Bayley. That is a good point.
That would be one hell of a feud for her with either one of them.
I'd say she's due for at least a return, maybe not a win, but I think that'd be, you're on the money there. I would not be surprised if she came back.
Is she back as face or heel?
Oh, well, I mean, she'd get the face pop, obviously, because it'd be a surprise and the fans miss her and everything. And like, even though she was a heel, she was pretty entertaining. Like, she was a heel that you loved to hate. So I think people will take that and it will come forth as a big baby face return pop. Whether or not she stays a face in the duration of the match is anyone's guess, but that's a good point. I would not be surprised if Bayley showed up in this match as well, but I'm still going to go with my pick and say Alexa, and you think it will be some kind of surprise entrant to be determined.
Probably so.
But those are just our humble picks, folks. Who do you got for the Rumble this Saturday night? Let us know in the comments section. And of course, we will see you on the other side, hopefully in person that time around on Saturday night for our review of the Rumble. And of course, that is once again happening on a Saturday, not a Sunday like it is traditionally. So do check your calendars for that. But until then, folks, for J Biggs, I'm Brian Zane, and we'll see you next time.